Hi there. I'm Sheila Belanger with transformation tip number 5. Make thresholds to mark your boundaries. Yes, I'm using the B word. In my Transformation Journey Roadmap course, I have a whole lesson called BYOB, Bring Your Own Boundaries. This is a deep challenge in our current intense colonial wounded culture. Boundaries, I'm talking the B word, people, okay? Because most of us are so sensitive and empathetic, and we have not learned how to have clear boundaries. So we leak our energy everywhere. We pick up on the pain and suffering of the world, of individuals in our lives, of the animals, the earth itself. And it's so essential to be compassionate, and you have to learn how to hold what you're feeling and not get wiped out by it. We have a huge challenge with addiction and checking out in our culture. We know that. Whether it's screen addiction, it's process addiction of any kind, shopping, whatever, or it's actual substance addiction. Drugs, alcohol, marijuana, sugar, food. We are overwhelmed by our sensitivity, deeply overwhelmed by our sensitivity. And one of the most important things you can do is consciously make boundaries. And that doesn't mean shutting your heart off. It doesn't mean you don't care. It doesn't mean you're not feeling what you're feeling. It means, what do you do to feel your feelings and not get wiped out? Okay? And this, my friend, is where the idea or concept or the action of making thresholds is all about. Thresholds are marking the transition between one state and another. You do it every day when you go through your front door or your back door. That's a threshold. You're leaving your home and going out into the world, or you're returning from your adventures in the world, grocery shopping, seeing friends if you can, going for a walk, being in the neighborhood. You cross the threshold when you open the door and step back into your home. And what I'm inviting you to do with this transformation tip is make it conscious. Okay, right, I've got the keys to the car. I'm getting ready to go somewhere. As I cross through the doorway and go out into the world, I consciously make the threshold. I'm leaving home now and I'm going someplace else. When I return from my travels, my errands, whatever it's been, bring your keys, you come to the door. Okay, I'm complete with this journey. I'm entering into my home now. Closing the door. That's a threshold. Very, very simple and very powerful, because what it's telling your unconscious is like, this last journey I've been on is complete. I don't have to keep staying open. I don't have to still be trying to figure out what I'm doing driving the car. No, I'm done with that. And now I transition and I move into being in my home with my family, whatever that is. And when you make a conscious transition, you make a boundary. You're telling your sensitive nature, we're done with this gig. We can kind of let it go. We can clear our palate and we can go to the next gig, okay? That's a very simple one. And I want to say, as a transformation tip, start there. And you may not be going out with a car. You may not have a car. But every time you go through your front door, back and forth across the threshold, mark it and say, oh, this is what I'm doing. Call your attention to it. You're starting to tell your psyche, all right, we are very clearly doing this, and then we're very clearly doing that. And once you get going with it, then the big BYOB, bring your own boundaries work, is with human interactions. So let's say that you're on a Zoom call. Hello, these are the times, right? You're in a Zoom meeting. Before you enter the meeting, take a moment, even just a couple seconds, breathe and say, okay, I'm now entering into this gathering on Zoom. Have the experience, whether it's a business meeting, it's a webinar, it's talking with family. And then when you're done, you press that little button, leave meeting. Take a moment to say, I'm leaving the meeting. Tell your psyche, I'm energetically saying this is done. I'm complete with this experience of the people I've been with, the material I've been with, the family members I've been talking with, the friend I've been catching up with. I leave the meeting. And not only does your hand press the button to leave the meeting, your energy says, I'm complete, thank you. It gets even more powerful when, let's say, you're reading the news, you're looking at a news feed, and the voracious, painful, devastating news in our world. Again, we don't want to shut our hearts down. We want to be available to help transform and do the deep changes we all have to do individually and collectively to help our world navigate these initiation times, these dismembering times. But what I'm suggesting is, let's say you're going to go look at your favorite news feed, whatever it is, before you thumb over there on your phone or looking on your computer, pause and say to yourself, I'm now going to look at the news feed and I'm going to monitor myself. And if I find myself getting overwhelmed, I need to stop and leave. Or let's say you read an article or a couple articles and you're taking in, your sensitive heart is taking in what you're reading, and you're imagining the suffering of the people or the outrage of, another person killed by a gun rampage or whatever it is. Or your heart is open because you're reading about some incredible change that's happening in a positive way for the children in your community. Whatever it is, you take it in, and then when you stop reading, you exit the news feed, make a transition, make a transition in your heart. I'm done reading that and all that has happened in me. Okay, it's there now. I ground it. I ground it in my body, I ground it in the earth. You make a transition. Instead of constantly having hundreds and thousands of experiences daily or weekly, and you're just accumulating it in your psychic field, and you're just overwhelmed. No wonder we're going into addictive checking out processes. We're escaping because our bowl, our cup, our psyche is so beyond full. It's outrageous. So you need to start clearing it and saying, okay, I'm done with that. I empty the cup out with gratitude and love, and I am renewed and ready for the next experience. Make a threshold to set a boundary for yourself, a boundary of health and self-care that is also a boundary of compassion. Because as you can ground yourself and have the capacity to be available, you're not going to check out. So when you do show up to something like a Zoom meeting, or you do show up with your compassionate heart to take in the suffering and the news of the world, you can do it in a grounded place. And when you're complete, it's there. You've taken into your heart in a way that you need to take it in, and you let go of everything else that's not yours to carry. So you keep your heart open, but you're grounded and you're setting boundaries. So use a very ancient ceremonial practice of making thresholds. Very powerful way to begin to cultivate good, healthy boundaries on a psychospiritual level. Start with your front door. Get yourself in the habit. I'm going across the threshold, I'm entering the world. I'm going across the threshold and returning into my home. You could even do it when you go between rooms in your home, okay? Whatever that is. You don't have to get crazy with it, but it's a simple acknowledgement to your psyche. This is complete, and now I'm going here. This is complete, and now I'm going here. All right, dear ones. So try that out. Make that threshold to set clear boundaries. And don't forget to check out all the other videos in this channel, Transformation Journey Roadmap. I've got over 30 of them, including some other short transformational tips. And stay tuned. Also, check out signing up for one of my free guided journeys and the different videos that I give you, and also get on my mailing list. There's lots of different master classes and offers I give you, and if you want to stay in tune with what I'm offering, get on it. And also check out my Astrology Alchemy podcast. I give you a weekly forecast on what's happening archetypally with the astrology energies and how it can empower you to do your own deep inner changes and grow more fully into your true nature. Thanks so much.